just a dream, just all in my head.
Hey friends, welcome to Richmond, Virginia, where we're going to be doing something super special today. It is May 14th, 2022. Let's go. So where we are going today is we are going to take a RiverFront Canal tour here in Richmond, Virginia. I'm very, very excited. I hear this tour has incredible history and wonderful guides. It's really, really affordable, by the way, something I think anybody should do. I think it's, maybe $18 for adults and like $12 for kids. I will leave all the info in the description of this video. And also we're going to find a place for lunch and I'll leave those details in there too. But I'm super excited, so come along with us. Let's go on this amazing RiverFront Canal tour and see what we can learn about today.
Why they gave you that name, but I have to put up with it around here. I'll be a boatman. Now that's what they used to call us back then, as boatmen, and it was back when our country was growing. Let me go ahead and set the stage for you. We had already landed at Jamestown. Then we started moving westward across our country. We made it to the Midwest. Out of the Midwest, we started growing a lot of crops, doing a lot of mining. Actually, what we were doing, we were creating goods to sell to our customers. We only had one small problem. Back then, most of our customers were other countries, and we had to figure out a way on how to get our goods from the Midwest, then from there, take it on down to the Ohio, then on over to the Mississippi. That way, the people out in the Midwest can put their goods on the canal boats, bring it down here to Richmond, we load it up onto ships, take it on down to the Atlantic Ocean via the James. So in 1784, George Washington took that idea to the Virginia General Assembly. They thought it was a great idea, and they started building these canals, the falls of the James. That's where the James River comes out of the Blue Ridge Mountains, which is the Piedmont area, and starts heading towards Richmond, and when it gets about 7 miles out of Richmond, then it starts to fall, and it'll fall 100 feet in 7 miles till it reaches sea level, which is the tide waters. And in between, during that 7 miles, we create rocks and rapids, and as a matter of fact, some of the rapids are Class 5 rapids running in front of Richmond. And they needed a canal to get around all that. And that's why they put the canals here. But we still had one more problem that we had to solve before we could make all this work. The problem was, our canal boat is down here on the Tidewater connection. But we had to get our canal boat up to the Great Orient. They had to destroy locks 1, 2, and 3 to make room for the downtown expressway. They called that progress. The locks 4 and 5 are there. In fact, the lock that we're facing right now looks like a rectangular room with that white water splashing in front of it. That's lock number 5. Directly behind it, and of course a little bit higher, is lock number 4. But when they destroyed locks 1, 2, and 3, they were wise enough to keep the stone. These are the stones that we use around the tops of the canal and along the edges. These are the stones from the 1854 canal locks. Let's see if I get everybody to duck. I wanted to see who's going to do it. I had a whole boat good one time. It was sad looking. When you see those white water splashing in front of lock number 5, that's coming from the Hacksaw mill race. A mill race is like a speedway for water. It was used to turn water wheels, because that was the location of the Hacksaw Crenshaw flour mill, one of the largest flour mills in North America. Another large one located here is called the Gallego. Now, the reason we had trouble dating this building was because on April 2nd, 1865, the evacuated Confederate Army burned over 1,000 buildings in this area. So most of the buildings that you see today were built between 1866 and 1890. But when they rebuilt them, they used an Italian-style architecture, and this building did not fit that style. The way we know it didn't fit, we can compare what this building looks like to the one that does fit, and that's the one straight in front of us. That red building, Ultralogic Furniture Company, used to be the old Watkins Copper Hardware building. And that building uses ornate brickwork and 2-story windows. And that building was built in 1867, like it says on the side, so it all fits together. Another renovation we made is building on our left. At the top of the hill, this smaller brick building with that half-circle front porch down to Casey Southern Railway Tap House. Great place. That was called the old Southern Railway Station. It's also part of the Richmond Railway Station. That's where President Jefferson Davis left Confederate Richmond for the very last time. He and his generals boarded the train that day to roll over Confederate gold. They were on their way to Danville. They're trying to get Danville. That's down in Tennessee. The Union forces were advancing on Richmond. And while I'm on that subject, before I take you into 14th Street overpass, if you follow 14th Street down to the right, you'll come across the James River. And this artwork on both sides of the canal, this was done a couple of years ago. They said that it represents the ripples of the canal water reflecting the colors. At least that's what they told me to say. I have other ideas. And we're not going to charge you extra for the sunlight. Another display that we opened up many seasons ago is going to be up ahead on the left past these last 2 trash cans in through those rose bushes. I'll tell you what, I'll just point it out to you. It's a very simple display. It's a display of a small dark brown box. And I am pointing at that box. You'll see it will come up just a little bit further. This little small dark brown box sitting on that stone platform up there. Everybody have it? It's right there with the sun shining on it. That box is a replica of a box that an enslaved person built. His name was Henry Brown. Henry Brown's family was taken from him, and they took his family to Pennsylvania. So Henry Brown built that box 2 foot by 3 foot. Then with the help of a freed black man and a white store owner, he got inside of it. And they loaded that box onto a train that was bound for Pennsylvania so he could go find his family and escape slavery. The great idea, except for one small problem. He had to spend 27 hours in that little 2 foot by 3 foot box. He was about as tall as I am. He did it. He made it alive. He did that for the love of his family. And he did it in 1849, which got him the nickname of Henry Box Brown. Oh, and the third of that trip he spent upside down. On Richmond, surveyed 1737 by William Mayo. It's also the lowest part of Richmond at one time. Shockoe Bottom was the city of Richmond. Not only do we have nightclubs and restaurants located at the bottom, but we also have the oldest originally built house in Richmond, located at 20th and Main. The old stone house built in 1737 by Jacob Edge. It's now the Edgar Allan Poe Museum. Edgar Allan Poe was raised here in Richmond by the Allen family when his mother died when he was the age of 2. That's how he got his middle name, Edgar Allan Poe. He used to swim out the James River, upriver, for 6 miles for exercise, like we all do. Now, this is that time. Go to your right on the other side of the wall and see the large sliding door that seals off the lower track of the triple cross, which is north and southern. And there's the large sliding door over there on the right.
Yeah, there it is. That wall. Huh?
And we are now in 20 feet of water. But y'all have nothing to worry about, because if I sink this boat, they'll give me another one. And that railroad track on the right, that's Norfolk Southern, that's the lower track. This land on our right is called Chapel Island. Chapel Island got its name from an Anglican parish church. It was built here on the island in 1717, called Falls on the James Church. Also on this island was a ferry boat system, a fishery, and a shipbuilding company. The shipbuilding company was called the Trigg Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company, and operated from 1899 to 1902. The Trigg built 2 torpedo boats, the Stockton and the Sterbrook. Built 2 destroyers, the Dale and the Decatur, and built a ferry boat called the Galveston. The President of the United States came down here to Chapel Island, President William McKinley, along with 30,000 residents for the launching of the Sterbrook. These ships were used right after the Spanish-American War. I sort of said that pretty quickly because I knew that we were approaching what we now call turtle trees. And when we get up there, you'll be able to see why we call them that, especially with the sun coming out now. Railroads, that bridge in front of us is of particular interest. That bridge in front of us is called the Bascule Bridge. Now the Bascule Bridge came from a design by Leonardo da Vinci. The top portion of that bridge, it looks like a large room affair, is actually a large weight. It takes a small motor to start tilting that bridge backwards like a rocking chair till the bottom portion sticks straight in the air and the top portion almost lays flat on the ground. Then the big ships will come on through because the great Shiplock and Shiplock Park right on the other side of that bridge. If y'all get a chance to go over there to the Shiplock Park, they made a beautiful park over there and a nice parking lot. You can check out the great Shiplock. You'll also be able to see how high you are up with the James River. And if you're adventurous enough, you can cross over to Chapel Island, walk down one of the wooded paths and discover the dry docks to the Trigg Shipbuilding Company. They're still there sitting out in the middle of the woods. In this area, the same name, Richmond. Yeah, the top part of this bridge is filled with old granite blocks, making the top part the same weight as the bottom part. Makes it real easy to rock it backwards. This is the bridge that Norfolk Southern Railroad crosses. You can see their tracks right there. 1969 and 1972, we had what they call back-to-back floods here in Richmond. And because of that, the insurance company stopped insuring everyone down here in Shockoe Bottom, so there was no growth. Then along came the flood wall, that large white wall on the right. Now we're experiencing an economic boom down here in the bottom. The flood wall was completed in 1994 by the Army Corps of Engineers. On this side of the river, it's made of concrete, goes for 1.2 miles, and it protects our city from floods up to 40 feet high. The highest recorded flood was in 1799. It was at 37 feet. If you don't get a chance to go into the Virginia Holocaust Museum, I strongly suggest you put that on your tour stop. The former director of that museum is telling the story of what he saw when he was a small child in the German concentration camps, what led up to it, and how his family escaped. They reproduced everything that he said inside that building, from small towns to the tunnels his family crawled through and lived in for a while. They've also brought in one of the original boxcars from Germany that sits out in front. And this pathway underneath the railroad trestle that these people ride their bikes on right here, this pathway is now part of our new Virginia Capitol Trail. We have linked the old Capitol Williamsburg with the new Capitol Richmond. You can now walk or ride a bike from here to Williamsburg. And I suggest you eat a big box of Wheaties because that's 60 miles.
I'll see you in 3 years.
Okay, challenge me.
Before I take y'all back in, I was out here doing a tour one day and I made this observation. I just want to share it with you because I don't think you can see this anywhere else in the United States. Right up ahead in front of us is probably the best representation of the history of transportation for our country. Up ahead is the 18th century canal system. Right above that is a 19th century train system. Right above that is a 20th century interstate system. Because beyond that's our future, all crossing each other in time.